as solar energy converters. Solar energy can be described in terms of its wavelength and its energy content. Figure 7.6a lists the different types of radiant energy from the shortest wavelength, gamma rays, to the longest, radio rays. Most of the radiation reaching the Earth is within the visible light range. Higher energy wavelengths are screened out by the ozone layer in the atmosphere, and lower energy wavelengths are screened out by water vapor and carbon dioxide before they reach the Earth's surface. The conclusion is then that organic molecules and processes within organisms such as vision and photosynthesis are chemically adapted to the radiation, and that is most prevalent. I told you. The conclusion is then that organic molecules and processes within organisms such as vision and photosynthesis are chemically adapted to the radiation that is most prevalent in the environment, visible light.
Not the drugs.
Visible light spectrum.
I'm considering what's it called? You know, there's protein weight loss shakes.
Goes down visible light.
I'm thinking about starting that.
Pigment molecules absorb wavelengths of light.
So I get the protein.
Most pigments absorb only some
I
wavelengths.
want to drink before practice before I'm going to burn it off.
Transmit the other wavelengths. The pigments found in chloroplasts are capable of absorbing various portions of visible light. This is called their absorption spectrum. Photosynthetic organisms differ by the type of chlorophyll they contain. In plants, chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B play prominent roles in photosynthesis. Carotenoids play accessory roles. Both chlorophyll A and B absorb violet, blue, and red light better than
The
light
hamburger,
of other
which is
colors.
that's it. I don't eat breakfast. And then I get home and I eat whatever I get there, and I run cross country every day.
The carotenoids, which are shades of yellow and orange, are able to absorb
I'm gonna
light
try
in the
this
violet,
with
blue, green range. These pigments become noticeable in the fall when chlorophyll breaks down. How do you determine the absorption spectrum of pigments? To identify the absorption spectrum of a particular purified sample is exposed to different wavelengths of light in some instrument called a spectrophotometer. A spectrophotometer measures the amount of light that passes through the sample, and from this it is possible to calculate how much was absorbed. The amount of light absorbed at each wavelength is plotted on a graph, and the result is a record of the pigment's absorption spectrum.
These are the pigment's absorption spectrums.
Me, I got it about halfway through the summer, which is why I turned into a really cool person, because I stopped caring.
Light reactions. The light reactions utilize two photosystems called photosystem 1.
We have time. We have 6 minutes where we don't have to do anything. And
Photosystems are named for the order in
we
which
both
they
have
were
homework to do.
discovered, not for the order in which they occur in the membrane or participate in the photosynthetic process.
And explain
A photosystem consists of a pigment complex, molecules of chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B,
I have a quiz tomorrow.
and electrons,
Spanish.
receptor molecules,
I have Spanish.
and then the thylakoid membrane.
I don't.
The pigment complex serves as an antenna for gravitational
So I have to do scholarships. And the midterm admissions, teacher studies for you, which I don't have to do anymore.
Non-cyclic pathway.
non-cyclic pathway. During the light reactions, electrons usually follow a non-cyclic pathway that begins with photosystem 2. The pigment complex absorbs solar energy, which is then passed from one pigment to the other until it is concentrated in a particular pair of chlorophyll A molecules.
I'm looking at it
Called the reaction center.
information.
Electrons in the reaction center become so energized that they escape from the reaction center and move to nearby electron receptor molecules.
Yeah, you can see him.
PS2 would
Anyone gets
disintegrate
to use
without
the
replacement electrons, and these are removed from
No,
the
it's not definitely.
which splits, releasing oxygen to the
It's
atmosphere.
easy stuff.
Information
Notice that
management
with the
system.
loss of electrons, water has been oxidized.
I'm either doing finance or supply chain management.
From water.
I really want to do supply
Many
chain management.
organisms, including us, even ourselves, use this oxygen.
I really want to do
within the
supply chain
lighter
management.
I do business.
I can't
management,
wait
but I
to
don't
put
know
thousands of truckers out of work. I'm hoping that by the time I'm ready to start a business, the self-driving trucks is making its way into the business, so that I can become an early adopter of self-driving trucks,
A series of
and
carriers
that'll boost
pass
my
electrons
business.
from one to the other. As the
and then
electrons
just
pass from one
Why don't you
provide.
just like own the self-driving trucks?
As electrons
Well, that's
pass
the
from one
idea.
pair
You
to
own the
next,
self-driving trucks
energy is
by
captured and stored in the
being an
form
early
of
adopter
hydrogen
of the
ions.
self-driving trucks. Early adopter
These
versus late
hydrogen ions
adopter.
flow
The,
down
the
the
people who have
electrochemical
fleets of person-driven trucks, they can only start switching out their trucks. They can't start with a whole new fleet of completely
Notice that this
self-driven trucks.
ATP
My dream would be to be the Carnegie of solar panels.
stroma to produce carbon
That's
dioxide.
already
But
taken.
that's not really though.
In the PS1
There's not really one
Well,
guy.
there's not going to be. First off, there's not going to be
There
a
will
Carnegie.
be
There's never going to be
eventually.
another.
Well, you know what I
captured by electron acceptor.
mean. Elon Musk. How about that?
Make PayPal first.
Bill Gates. How about that?
Make PayPal first. That's the tech revolution. We're in the industrial revolution. That's true, though. That's true. We've hit that was the technological revolution. Did kind of act like the what's it called? Is kind of acting like the Gilded Age right now. If you notice. And so there's a bunch of monopolies, massive company monopolies, but trust busting's
This is a
gonna come out.
visualization of that reality.
That might be fun.
If TR the six
And once,
no joke. Okay, this is my thing.
if someone could,
The organization of the thylakoid membrane. As we have discussed, the following molecular complexes are in the thylakoid membrane. PS2, which consists of a pigment complex and electron acceptor molecules, received electrons from water as water splits, releasing oxygen. The electron transport chain, consisting of plastoquinone and cytochrome complexes, carries electrons from PS2 to PS1. PQ also pumps hydrogen from the stroma into the thylakoid space. PS1, which also consists of a pigment complex and electron acceptor molecules, is adjacent to NADP reductase, which reduces NADP to NADPH. The ATP synthase complex has a channel and a protruding ATP synthase and enzyme that joins ADP plus P. ATP production. The thylakoid space acts as a reservoir for hydrogen ions. First, each time water is oxidized, 2 H remain in the thylakoid space. Second, as the electrons move from carrier to carrier along the electron transport chain, the electrons give up energy, which is used to pump H from the stroma into the thylakoid space. Therefore, there are more H in the thylakoid space than in the stroma. The flow of hydrogen, often referred to as protons in the context, from high to low concentration.
Ecology focus.
Tropical rainforest destruction and global warming. Al Gore, former presidential candidate, won the 2007 Nobel Peace Prize for raising public awareness concerning global warming. The Nobel Committee said that global warming could induce large-scale migrations and lead to greater competition for the Earth's resources. As such, it may increase the danger of violent conflicts and wars within and between countries. Global warming refers to an expected rise in the average global temperature during the 21st century due to the introduction of certain gases into the atmosphere. For at least 1,000 years prior to 1850, atmospheric carbon dioxide levels remained fairly constant at 0.028%. Since the 1850s, when industrialization began, the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere has increased to 0.038%.
Thanks, Britain.
In much the same way as the panes of a greenhouse, CO2 and other gases in our atmosphere trap radiant heat from the sun. Therefore, these gases are called greenhouse gases. Without any greenhouse gases, the Earth's temperature would likely be about 33 degrees cooler than it is now. Likewise, increasing the concentration of greenhouse gases is predicted to cause global warming. Certainly, the burning of fossil fuels adds CO2 to the atmosphere, but another factor that contributes to an increase in atmospheric CO2 is tropical rainforest destruction. Between 10 and 30 million hectares of rainforest are lost every year to ranching, logging, mining, and otherwise developing areas of the forest for human needs. The clearing of forests often involves burning them. Each year, deforestation in tropical rainforests accounts for 20 to 30% of all CO2 in the atmosphere. The consequence of burning forests is greater trouble for global warming because burning a forest adds CO2 to the atmosphere and at the same time removes trees that would ordinarily absorb CO2. The process of photosynthesis and also the oceans act as a sink for CO2. Despite their reduction in size from an original 14% to 6% of land surface today, tropical rainforests make a substantial contribution to global CO2 removal. Taking into account all ecosystems, marine and terrestrial, photosynthesis produces organic matter that is 300 to 600 times the mass of people currently on Earth this year. Tropical rainforests contribute greatly to the uptake of CO2 and the productivity of photosynthesis because they are most efficient of all terrestrial ecosystems. Tropical rainforests occur near the equator. They can exist wherever temperatures are above 26 degrees Celsius and rainfall is heavy, from 100 to 200 centimeters, and regular. Huge trees with buttress trunks and broad, undivided dark green leaves predominate. Nearly all land plants in a tropical rainforest are woody, and woody vines are also abundant. It might be hypothesized that an increased amount of CO2 in the atmosphere will cause photosynthesis to increase in the remaining portion of the forest. To study this possibility, investigators measured atmospheric CO2 levels, daily temperature levels, and tree girth in La Selva, Costa Rica for 16 years. The data collected demonstrated relatively lower forest productivity at higher temperatures. These findings suggest that as temperature rises, tropical rainforests may add to ongoing atmospheric CO2 accumulation and accelerated global warming rather than the reverse. All the more reason to slow global warming and preserve forests. Some countries have programs to combat the problem of deforestation. In the mid-1970s, Costa Rica established a system of national parks and reserves to protect 12% of the country's land area from degradation. The current Costa Rican government wants to expand the goal by increasing protected areas to 25% in the near future. Similar efforts in other countries may help slow the ever-increasing threat of global warming.
Flip back.
Frog. Log.
And green, as well as a little bit of the
Dog. Hog.
What two molecules
Dog.
produced as a result of the
Dog.
non-cyclic electron pathway?
Yes.
NADPH and ATP.